Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at this pumpkin, guys. If you're looking at the screen, look how this pumpkin isn't just all plain orange. If you look really carefully, you can see the lines in it. Want to make sure you add those lines in your coloring. If you look really carefully, there's even little white spots. It's not all just one color of orange, almost dark orange for the lines and medium orange in there with the little patches of light orange. Sometimes you get little defects, like look at these little bumps that are on here. Those are actually stuck right on, can't pull them off. Little scratch marks. All right. And then if you look at the stem, it's not just all green. It's got green with white dots and some dark green and light green, and it's twisted here. From the top up here where it's been cut, it's almost white looking. So lots of different colors. Not just one shade of orange. Try not to leave a lot of white paper showing when you're doing your coloring. This is the outside of the pumpkin. So we're looking at the outside part of the pumpkin. Look at the stem. Guys, if you notice my stem there, I've colored it in a few different colors of green, almost greens and blues. And I've added my dark lines, because our pumpkin has lines here. So I've added my dark lines in. And then I've taken a couple of different colors of orange and I've colored it in. Really color it in so there's not too many white spots showing. There are some white spots, but not a lot. And there we go, I've blended a few different oranges, really made this pumpkin interesting, not just one color of orange. And so then the last thing we need to do is just label our pumpkin. So we'll draw a little line and we'll label this with the word stem to show that that's the stem. Draw a little line from that line and put that word, that's the lines of the pumpkin. And of course the orange part is the skin of the pumpkin, or known as the rind of the pumpkin. So now we have our pumpkin labeled. So we're going to look at the cross section of a pumpkin. That just simply means cutting through a pumpkin so we can see the inside. And here we've got the inside of a pumpkin with the thin orange rind, the yellow flesh right here, this is the part we eat, the stringy fiber bits and all the seeds inside. This is what we call a cross section. And we're going to draw our cross section onto our worksheet. Alright guys, so we've cut open our pumpkin. Here's our pumpkin. We're looking at our pumpkin. We've got a few different parts. We've got the rind, this very thin orange line here. So if I'm going to draw my science picture, I'm going to start off with my orange. And before you see, but Mr. C, it looks all yellow inside. No, I'm going to start off because I want to add the rind, the skin. So with my orange pencil crayon, I'm going to kind of outline this black line because it's really very, very thin layer, isn't it? Just a very thin layer. All right, not going to do the stem because I know the stem isn't that color. I know the stem, let's take a look at the stem. I know the stem has got that green color to it. Could look a little white inside, but it's got that kind of green color to it. All right, so I've got my orange rind, my green stem. Let's take a look at our pumpkin again, our cross section. Now I've got this big, thick, kind of whitish yellow. Most pumpkins, it's the same color. Some of them are a little bit of a darker yellow. Some of them are a paler white. There is one of the white pumpkins out there where the flesh is actually white, but most pumpkins it's the same inside. So I'm going to grab my yellow, maybe my very light orange. Here's a kind of a yellowy gold. And I'm going to draw a thick layer like this. And this part here, this is going to be my flesh. Let me just quickly color that in. All right, there's my flesh. This is the part that we eat. This is the part that once I scoop out the guts, as somebody said, or the fibers, then what I'm left with is just the inside part, this flesh part. And this is the part that I cut up into slices and I bake in the oven. Let's take a look at the next bit. All right, we've done the rind, the orange. We've done the flesh. Now I've got all these fibers, all these stringy bits. Those are all over the place, so there's no order to those. I'm just going to take my orange. I'm just going to start drawing a lot of squiggly lines. Squiggly lines all over. This is the fiber. Lots of fiber all over the place. Okay? Now, the last part was the seeds. But here's the problem. The seeds are kind of white in color, and my paper's white. So if I go and use a white crayon or a white pencil crayon and I draw white seeds on white paper, I'm probably not really going to notice them. So I do a little bit of a cheat. I look for a dark color like maybe a black, and I'm just going to draw the shape of a seed. And a seed isn't quite a circle. It's kind of that shape. I'm going to start drawing my seeds in there. And I'm just outlining them so that the center becomes the white part of the seed. And what would you say? Did you say there's maybe like 100 seeds? It might take me a long time to draw 100 seeds, but you know what? I'm not just going to draw one or two. I'm going to make sure that I draw lots and lots of seeds in here. And some of them are really bunched together. Some of them are bigger looking and smaller looking. And they're all attached inside this fiber. So lots and lots of seeds. Clumps and clumps and clumps of seeds. Right? So now, when I look at my inside of my pumpkin, I've really done a science drawing that looks a lot like the real inside of a pumpkin. I've got that thin layer of the orange skin. I've got this thicker yellowy white layer of the flesh, the part that we eat. I've got these stringy fibers holding on to all these seeds that are bunched up inside of here. And I've got a real true science drawing. Okay? We talked about labeling. Labeling means this. I can draw a line to a part and I can write the name of that part. That part's called the stem. This part here is a seed. This orange part on the outside is the science name would be the rind or skin. And these squiggly line parts in here, that's the fiber, the gut, somebody said.
And then this part, which is the flesh, the part we eat.
Okay, so I've labeled it with stem, seeds, fiber, the stringy bits, and the rind, the orange skin, very thin layer. And the flesh, the part that we eat of the pumpkin. So I'm going to let you guys get started on yours.